If you believe that making your bed in the morning is going to make you more successful, then you're in for a rude shock. I don't think that there's anything magical around what you do like if you have your ice bath in the morning, that's going to increase your success. If you have your sauna at night, that's going to increase your success. Actually, it doesn't. It's first and foremost, it's the work that you do.
What if I told you the biggest mistake people make when chasing peak performance isn't forgetting to hit the cold plunge or forgetting to sauna? It's thinking that those are the only things that matter. When the truth is, if you want to act or perform like a top athlete or a top CEO, you need to train your brain to think and act like one. Hey, my name is Arjun. I'm the founder and CEO of doola.com, a business in a box for e-commerce based here in New York City. You can learn more about what our company does at doola.com. I started a series called the 15-Minute Founder, where I sit down with the top entrepreneurs and creators to understand the strategies, insights, and tactics that have shaped their success. In this episode, I sit down with Louisa Nicola, neurophysiologist, performance coach, and founder of Neuro Athletics, who works with the top athletes, CEOs, and Wall Street execs to help them unlock peak performance through neuroscience, structure, and data. And in this conversation, we dive into the actual habits that drive outcomes, the truth about morning routines, and how most people fail to not only set the wrong goals, but fail to follow through. So if you are looking to think sharper and unlock your own peak performance, you don't want to miss this conversation. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about peak performance, things you've learned, and across the peak performers you've seen, athletes, executives, non-executives. Let's start at the beginning of the day. What are some commonalities or trends, 3 things you see top performers do in the morning?
The number one trend I see top performers do in the morning is they've planned out their morning the night before. So they don't leave things to guesswork. They wake up, they know exactly what they're doing, they know the time frame they're doing it in. Everything is super structured. That may seem really mundane to some people, and that's why there is not a lot of high performers at the top. So every high performer I see, whether it's an elite athlete or whether it's an elite CEO, they wake up, most of them have their clothes ready to go on a chair or on a table. They get up, they get that. They've got half an hour to spend doing their morning routine. They've got 10 minutes to get to the office or half an hour. So everything is so structured, and it is minute by minute by minute. That's, I have to say, across the board, that's the first thing I'm seeing. The second thing I'm seeing is they have crystal clear objectives. Long-term and short-term. We call them set points at Neuro Athletics, meaning that you can set a goal, right? Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to make $20 million, whatever. It's as if these individuals have got it down to a math, meaning that everything is so structured to lead to that point. So their goals are set in stone and they achieve them. They're not just these words that they put out into the world. And the third most common trait I would have to say is they have an innate ability to move on, whether it's from a bad decision, a mistake, a bad conversation they've had, something negative, a negative thought they've had. They've really got a great way of anchoring their negative thoughts and just moving on from it. I think that that's key. That's something that I actually personally struggle with on a daily basis. I don't struggle with the waking, I have my clothes there in the morning. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know my time. Some things I do struggle with is maybe focusing too much on things, dwelling. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I have to recap those for my own personal education retention, but just to summarize, this crystal clear plan of the morning where the morning actually starts the night before, but they know exactly what they're doing. The third thing you said was the ability to not dwell and to move on. And the second is this idea of set points, or not just having goals, but working back from those goals. So it's just a matter of pure execution and if you're hitting the sub milestones.
Yeah, and a really great analogy would be, let's just say for argument's sake, their goal is to this day, on Tuesday, they want to walk 100 meters. They'll know how many steps it takes them to get to that 100 meters. They know how long it takes to, every step, how long that takes, how much energy they need per step. So it's really, really finite.
There's a lot of people who say that following X or Y morning routine isn't going to magically change you, and that there is something innate that's actually the root cause to changing. But at the same time here, it sounds like these folks do have their particular routine and it is rigid. Do you think that is the case that someone who maybe doesn't have one of these routines or sees someone out there who has I eat this and then I cold plunge, whatever it might be, if they just follow that, they'll see the effects? Or is there truly an underlying cause or part of their psyche that they have to address first?
If you believe that making your bed in the morning is going to make you more successful, then you're in for a rude shock. I don't believe that. I don't believe that actually this is, probably bad to say, but I don't think that there's anything magical around what you do like if you have your ice bath in the morning, that's going to increase your success. If you have your sauna at night, that's going to increase your success. Actually, it doesn't. It's first and foremost, it's the work that you do and what you put in every single day that's going to get you the success at the end of the day, whether you find that work really daunting, really energy sucking. The thing that I believe does work when it comes to these accessory items, such as the ice bath and the sauna, is when you're doing the work, maybe you have more energy to do it. That's what it's doing. And actually, this is quite widespread in academic research, especially in the medical literature right now. I'm currently writing a really fascinating review article. And basically, it outlines the fact that exercise, for example, provides a very nice environment for the brain to flourish in other areas. So these activities of sleep, of exercise, of cold plunging, isn't going to get you the success. It's actually going to provide you with the environment for you to do the work to achieve the success.
Two-part question here. Why do New Year's resolutions fail? And let's say someone actually has that goal. They want to lose 10 pounds in the new year, whatever it might be. What are, or would you say are the pillars of health and fitness? This ties to many things, right?
Yeah.
There's maybe the aesthetic portion, there's the strength portion, there's the brain. It has impacts on Alzheimer's too. So someone has that goal. How would you recommend them as a coach? This is how you should structure and set the goal. And then this is actually the plan I would give you to go out and do that too.
There is no substitute when you're setting a goal, okay? You can't just write something down and just think that it's going to magically appear. There is no substitute for the hard work. And I also think there's no substitute for the why. So when we set goals at Neuro Athletics with our clients, when you first come on, we have a very rigorous intake forms. We've got a very rigorous onboarding process, but we actually deconstruct the psychology of your goals. And long and behold, a lot of these goals that people make in their heads, they don't actually really want it. It's just coming from what somebody else may have told them on Instagram. So the only way you're really going to achieve your goals, in my opinion, I don't even like that word goal, but in my opinion, it is having a strong enough why and having the education behind it. What I've noticed, and this is 10 years in my career right now, is education is the way forward for achieving absolutely anything. I will repeat that again. Education is the way forward. You can't build a property portfolio in my opinion, without understanding or having an education in the property space, let's just say, unless you really trust somebody and they're going to manage the money for you. But when it comes to health and fitness, you're different. You are different to every single other person. You cannot get your advice from Instagram solely. So you have to be educated enough to think, well, I want to assess my blood. I really want to know what's going on in my blood first and foremost. And maybe there's a DNA aspect that you have to address. So for anybody out there who's setting these audacious goals to achieve New Year's resolutions that I just don't believe in, I would say think about why you're setting this goal first, and B, how do I get about educating myself on this goal?
I love how you said you have to put in the work. There are no shortcuts, but let's talk about exercise. What is a major mistake or something that you see people do where if they change this, 80% of the effort or results they'll see, like majoring in the major versus majoring in the minor, when it comes to exercise, the biggest thing you see or the top 3 things you see that someone listening can implement and start to see more rewards from the work that they're putting in.
I think people focus too much on what zone am I doing and what am I going to wear to the gym and what class am I going to do? And it kind of gets them off mark. And what I see is compliancy, meaning whatever you can do every day is what matters, not so much the skill set or the what. So for example, if you don't like doing HIIT classes, but you think they're good for you and you would rather just go to the gym and maybe cycle for 20 minutes, it would be better off for you to do something that you really love because that's what's going to stick. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I do see people just go, I've just brought on a new client, wonderful. He's a lawyer and he's a partner. He's around 55 years old and slams the HIIT classes every single day and is completely burnt out. But he thinks that that's the only way forward for him to achieve his goals. So for him, it would be just stepping back a little bit and focusing maybe just on aerobic zone 2 training. Again, you have to first know what you're optimizing for, but anything you can do for 20 minutes a day is perfect.
The other topic or area I want to breach is, I guess, working is a type of fitness. A lot of people say that top knowledge workers are athletes in a sense, and you can use the same practices that LeBron James might use or anyone might use when it comes to work. When it comes to work specifically, let's say your full-time job isn't an athlete, but you're a knowledge worker, you're a business owner, you're leading a business, you're whatever you are in a company, and you're looking to improve there. What is something folks can do there? You talked about goal setting, and I think you mentioned a personal practice of no meetings until noon or personal time then. But what's a productivity trick or tip you've seen someone do that works for these top performers when it comes to being a knowledge worker in work?
I've noticed, so I actually put in something called exercise snacks. Have you heard what that is?
No, but I'm very curious.
It's literally, if you want improved energy, focus, and attention, you have to provide your brain with blood flow. And basically, some things that I do myself and get my clients to do is like a minute of vigorous like activity, whether it's at your desk, literally getting up, setting the timer, literally 60 seconds, whether it's push-ups, whether it's high jumps, getting your like body shocked and getting back into your seat, providing your brain with all this fresh blood can really help you in terms of productivity. Second thing that I do is I actually lock my phone up, because if it's right there next to my computer, I can become addicted and start touching it and things like that. And then the third thing I'm doing, and I can't believe I'm admitting this, is my phone all day is actually on Do Not Disturb. It's sad because like a lot, I just get so many people that are like, look, there's something wrong with your phone. I allow my mother to bypass. She's the only person in the world that can bypass that. And it allows just for people to not be able to text me or message me or call me.
I don't think it's that weird. I do a very similar thing, and I ended up getting a work phone and a personal phone.
That's what I think I'm going to do.
Yeah, and actually sometimes even the work phone is on Do Not Disturb too when I'm really trying to work, but I don't think it's that strange or weird, and it provides the separation.
Okay, good.
The other question I have to ask you is, you talked the work that has to be put in. When it comes to, let's call it work as a knowledge worker, if someone sees a triathlete and you said, I train 6 hours a day, I actually didn't have a weird or negative reaction to that. I thought, okay, if you want to be an elite triathlete, there's a lot of training. If someone says I'm training for the Olympics and I train 8 hours a day, you think that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
If someone's working and they say, oh, I work 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day, you might think, whoa, you're a workaholic and what are you doing? My question for you is, how many hours do you think is optimal when it comes to work? And are there diminishing returns you've seen? And what have you actually seen from top performers when it comes to the volume of work that they can actually do and sustain?
The question lies in, do you love what you do? For me, I could do what I do 24/7. And unfortunately, this doesn't sit well with friends. My friendship circle is extremely small because of that very reason. And the only cutoff limits are if you're really putting yourself into a negative overdrive. I don't know why we have this culture. I mean, it's everyone like, what are you going to do when you're not working? Okay, you can spend some time with your significant other. That's really great too. And then what? Are you watching TV? I would argue that why would you do that instead of working? But everyone's got a different, the thing is, part of my work is researching. I write manuscripts, I write academic papers, and I love it. So in order for me to do that, I have to read a lot. I love doing that. So I can literally say I'm working 24/7. The only time I would say you have to really cut off is if it's interfering with your health, your mental state, or maybe your family life. But I don't prescribe to this, go to work for 8 hours and leave. If that was my life, I would just really be unhappy.
Thank you so much for watching. As you can tell, these conversations typically go past 15 minutes. So if you're looking to catch the full conversation, you can head to my company's channel, Doola HQ, and catch the full convo there. there. And if you like this type of content, why not check out more? My goal is to provide a raw, unfiltered, and authentic look of my life here in New York City, scaling doola, where I'll share things like how we raise venture capital, the challenges the team faces on a daily basis, and how we're scaling to 10,000 customers and beyond. So if you want to see more content like this, please hit subscribe, turn on notifications. I'll be dropping content on the regular. And last but not least, if you yourself are starting or scaling a business, I'd love to be a small part of the journey. You can head to doola.com where you can get a free demo with the team. You can also check out my newsletter, the 2-Minute Business Hack, or any of my free ebooks, $1 Million Pitch, $1 Million Body, or $1 Million Business. Again, head to doola.com, get that demo, or check out any of my free content. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.